Welcome back to Petco Park on this Thursday afternoon, opening day 2026. Unfortunately, a sort of forgettable opening day for the Padres here in 2026 as they fall to the Detroit Tigers by a final score of 8-2. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park on this Thursday. Plenty of fans still here enjoying their beverages and wrapping up what was a beautiful opening day here in downtown San Diego. Unfortunately, the game not quite as beautiful for the Padres. It's always a good celebration on opening day of baseball in this great city across the country, but obviously not the way the Padres wanted to start the year against Tarik Skubal today and the Detroit Tigers. We will get into all of it on our first edition of our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show this season. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen, who managed his first game as a Major League manager today. We'll have postgame reaction from inside the Padres clubhouse. We'll have all the radio highlights and much, much more to do as the Padres fall by a final score of 8-2 to the Tigers. Final totals here today for the Tigers: 8 runs, 12 hits, 1 error. And for the Padres, 2 runs on 5 hits and no errors. And it was pretty simple in this one. The Padres, unfortunately, kind of had the tone set in the first inning. Nick Pavetta, 33 pitches in the first inning, walked 3 batters, including walking in a run, ultimately gives up 4 runs on 3 hits and 3 walks in that first inning. The Padres trailed 4-0 before they even came to bat. They did have a nice opportunity against Tarik Skubal in the bottom of the first inning, could not get a run against them. And then kind of predictably after that, when you face a guy like Tarik Skubal, a reigning 2-time AL Cy Young Award winner, if you don't get to him early, then typically he's going to settle in. And that's essentially what happened in this game. Skubal settled in. He would give up 1 unearned run in 6 innings, and the Padres were down 4-0 after 1. Pavetta then gave up 2 more runs in the third. They were down 6-0 after 3. They were down 8-0 after 5. And that's just a very, very tall mountain to climb against a guy like Tarik Skubal and what is a pretty good Tigers team, a team that has gone to the postseason 2 years in a row. So on one hand, always good to have baseball back here in San Diego, and the Padres are certainly back. We're just getting started, and 161 more games to go, but obviously opening day did not go the way the Padres wanted today as they fall by a final score of 8-2, and they'll try to bounce back in the middle game of this series tomorrow here at Petco Park. A lot to do on our post-game coverage. When we come back, we have all the radio highlights. Again, we'll hear from Craig Stammen and much, much more to come. We're taking you up until 5 p.m. You're on 97.3 The Fan. Again, the Padres fall 8-2 in this series opener against the Tigers right here on the Padres Radio Network.
Woodsy here. My family loves
Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score on this opening day here in 2026, the Tigers 8 and the Padres 2. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we continue our post-game coverage. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. Coming up in just a little bit, we should have additional post-game reaction from inside the Padres clubhouse, and we'll break down each and every aspect of this game one of 162 here today. As always, our post-game coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey, player with epic SoCal views, a full bar and poolside bites. Starlight Pool at Jamul Casino Resort is pool season perfected, and day passes are available. Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. Let's recap this one from start to finish, how it went down today at Petco Park.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, things did not get off to a good start today for Nick Pavetta. He issued a one-out walk, a single, and then walked two in a row to force home the Tigers' first run of the game. All that in the first inning, and the Tigers had a 1-0 lead. With the bases still loaded, Tigers third baseman Kevin McGonigal stepped to the plate for his very first Major League at-bat.
Here is McGonigal, first Major League at-bat, and he rips it into right field, a base hit. Keith has scored. Right behind him, Riley Green. And in his first Major League at-bat, it'll be a two-run double for Kevin McGonigal, and the Tigers now lead it 3-0.
And that was just the start of the day for McGonigal, who had an exceptional Major League debut. We'll talk more about him as our post-game coverage continues. But the Tigers in that first inning, they weren't done. Dylan Dingler then hit an RBI single to score Spencer Torkelson. Nick Pavetta would give up 4 runs in that first inning. Detroit had an early 4-0 lead. Pavetta throwing 33 pitches in that opening frame. Padres then had a great scoring chance in the bottom of the first inning against the reigning two-time American League Cy Young Award winner, Tarek Skubal. Xander Bogaerts and Manny Machado hit a pair of one-out singles to put runners on first and third, but then Skubal retired both Jackson Merrill and Miguel Andujar to end the inning. Tigers still led 4-0 going top 3. Spencer Torkelson hit a leadoff single. Kevin McGonigal doubled to put runners on second and third. A couple batters later, it was Parker Meadows.
First pitch is popped up shallow left center field. That will dump down. It's going to get at least one run home. McGonigal's going to try to throw the relay, not in time. A bloop 2-run single for Parker Meadows. It's 6-0, and McGonigal got a great read at second base.
6-0 Tigers led in the third after the 2-run single by Meadows. Pavetta would go just 3 innings today, giving up 6 runs on 7 hits, striking out 4 and walking 3. It was a rough first start of the year for Nick Pavetta. Ron Marinaccio pitched the scoreless 4th inning, but in the 5th, he gave up a 2-run homer to Dylan Dingler. The Tigers led 8-0 after after 5 innings here on this opening day. Meanwhile, Tarek Skubal was cruising from the final 2 outs of the first through the first out of the 6th inning. Skubal retired 15 batters in a row. Fernando Tatis Jr. reached on a throwing error by Tiger shortstop Javi Baez to break up that run. So the Padres trailed 8-0 in the 6th. Fernando Tatis Jr. on base. That brought up Xander Bogaerts.
Here's the pitch. Xander hits it hard on the ground and fair up the third baseline. That's going to roll all the way towards the left field corner. Fernando is wheeling around third base. He's going to come in and score. It's an RBI double for Xander Bogaerts, and the Padres have their first run of 2026.
That's all the Padres scored in the 6th inning. They trailed 8-1 after 6. Skubal would go 6 innings. He allowed just that 1 unearned run. In the bottom of the 7th inning, Drew Anderson came on to pitch for Detroit. With 2 outs and nobody on, it was Ramon Laureano.
Double-A play. This one in the air, deep to left field. Ramon Laureano, forget it. Taking aim at the Western Metal Building. And the first Padre home run of 2026 belongs to Razor Ramon. It's 8-2.
But that was all the Padres would score in the 7th inning. So they trailed 8-2 going to the bottom of the 8th inning. They would make noise against the Tigers bullpen, first against Drew Anderson, loading the bases for Nick Castellanos with 2 men away. But Tigers lefty Tyler Holton got the pinch-hitting Castellanos to fly out to end the inning. Padres still trailed 8-2. Scoreless ninth inning for Wandy Peralta in the top half. Will Vest, a scoreless bottom half of the ninth inning, and that was it here today. Tigers win it by a final score of 8-2. Tigers had 8 runs, 12 hits, 1 error. Padres had 2 runs, 5 hits, and no errors. Winning pitcher today, Tarek Skubal, who improves to 1-0, and the losing pitcher was Nick Pavetta, who drops to 0-1. Well, certainly a lot of bright spots to mention as well in this game. We'll get into them a little bit deeper after we hear from Craig Stammen, Bradley Rodriguez, 2 scoreless innings out of the bullpen. Xander Bogaerts hit the ball exceptionally hard today. That was a bright spot for the Padres offense, and you can't tell the story of this game from the Tigers standpoint without talking about what the young Kevin McGonigal did in his major league debut. We told you about him in our What to Watch For segment pregame today. The number 2 rated prospect in the game, according to MLB.com. Well, the young third baseman in his major league debut, 4 hits, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. So quite the debut for the Tigers' Kevin McGonigal. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. We will take your phone calls on our post-game coverage once again this season. So on this Thursday, if you want to get him in, the time to do that is starting now. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, phone number to call. When we come back, we'll hear from Craig Stammen. Again, the final score today, Tigers 8 and the Padres 2 on the Padres Radio Network.
You're listening to the Homolka.
Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park. Final score on this opening day, the Tigers 8 and the Padres 2. As the Tigers improve to 1-0, Padres drop to 0-1. But I'll tell you what the good news is. We've got a long way to go, 161 more of these things. So don't get too down today. We'll see if the Padres can bounce back in game number 2 of the season tomorrow. Still a lot to do on our post-game coverage as we take you up until 5 p.m. You're on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network live from Petco Park. We'll hear from Craig Stammen in just a moment. We'll hear from today's starting pitcher, Nick Pavetta. Give you some post-game reaction from inside the Padres clubhouse. Before I get to that, I do want to just touch on a couple of the bright spots in this game from a Padres standpoint. There were a few of them despite an 8-2 final score. And the first one I'll bring up is Bradley Rodriguez, really, really good out of the bullpen. This young right-hander who had some flashes of what he could do towards the end of last season. He was great today, not a high-leverage situation by any means, but 2 scoreless innings. The stuff looked great, struck out 3, did not allow a hit. Bradley Rodriguez with a really solid 2 innings today out of the Padres bullpen. David Morgan a scoreless inning. Wandy Peralta a scoreless inning as well. So those 3 guys did do a nice job at least keeping the Padres around in this game. And look, there was a world when the Padres were rallying in the 8th inning, had the bases loaded, 1 swing, and they could have got right back in this thing. But parts of the bullpen did do a nice job today. And hey, if you want to take a silver lining from a game like this, Padres didn't have to use any of their quote-unquote high-leverage relievers, guys like Estrada and Morajón and Miller. So I suppose that is a little silver lining that you didn't have to use those guys in a loss here today. Another silver lining from this game, and make of this what you will, Xander Bogaerts had a really nice day in his first game of the year. Bogaerts went 2 for 4 with a double and an RBI. But if you dig a little bit deeper, you look at how hard Xander hit the ball today. Very encouraging signs. His exit velocities today in all 4 at-bats, 104.5 miles per hour exit velo, 108, 102.3, and 101.7. So he was above 101 at least in every at-bat of the day. So hopefully a sign of things to come for Xander Bogaerts. Bottom line is you keep hitting the ball like that, and you're going to have a lot of success. So overall, 2 hits, RBI, the exit velo for Xander today. A good opening day for Xander Bogaerts. Obviously, the story from this game, really Nick Pavetta. It was a rough outing for Nick Pavetta, coming off what was such an excellent 2025, finished 6th in Cy Young voting in the National League, career low ERA, career low whip, 2.87 ERA last year. No doubt about it, earned the opportunity to start here on opening day this season. It was a rough outing. 3 innings, 6 earned runs given up on 7 hits. He walked 3, and all 3 walks came in the first inning. The way that first inning went, it really set the tone for the game. He walked Gleyber Torres with 1 out, then a single for Colt Keith, a walk to Riley Green, a walk to Spencer Torkelson that brought home a run. The 2-run double by McGonigal, and then the RBI single by Dingler. And just like that, 7 batters into the game, Padres weren't just trailing, but they were down 4-0 against one of the, if not the best pitcher in the game, in Tarek Skubal. And bottom line is you're trailing 4-0, after a half inning. You've got Tarek Skubal on the other side. That is just going to be, unfortunately, a very tough day at the office. And Pavetta would throw 33 pitches in that first inning, ultimately go just 3 innings in this game. Throw a grand total of 69 pitches, and again, give up 6 earned runs on 7 hits while walking 3 and striking out 4. So a little context on the Padres losing today 8-2 here on opening day. Let's hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen after his first game as Padres skipper.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Craig, independent of the final score today, just for you personally, what is now the feeling of getting that first one under your belt as manager?
Yeah, humbling, I guess. Hope it goes well, but got off to a bad start, and it's just the game of baseball, But it was a lot of fun for me to be in the dugout and lead the guys, and hopefully get back after him tomorrow.
Specific to Pavetta's outing, what did you see from him that was giving him trouble early?
Probably just the opening day, overexcitement, and first game back is always a tough one for every pitcher. And when you get tasked with pitching opening day for the first time, there's just a lot of emotions that go with it. And it wasn't his best day today, but he'll be good for us the rest of the season.
How close were you to putting Kyle in the first?
Probably pretty close. We were trying to cap Nick at maybe 35 pitches in that first inning. So top of the order was coming back up with 3 out of 4 lefties. So Kyle was probably pretty close, kind of just to stop the bleeding there in the first inning, give us a chance the rest of the game.
not a whole lot, at least from the outside, of decision making in your first day, but you were able to put out your core relievers. I mean, how pleased were you with them being able to close out the game the way they did?
Yeah, I think the hardest part about today, decision making, was who was going to pitch and how we were going to get through the game without, pitching guys we wanted to save. And then we ended up, wanting to save Kyle Hart for tomorrow and the next day. Their lineup is predominantly left-handed, and we felt like, if we saved him for the next 2 days, we had a better chance. We could be a little bit more aggressive with the bullpen if we had to be. I knew if Wandy just pitched one inning, he'd be, good to go one of the next 2 days.
What did you think of Scoreboard today, and what do you kind of take from your offense when they're facing a guy that seems to be as locked in as he is? Yeah,
I think, we had a game plan, and it was to be aggressive, clearly. And, a good pitcher is going to, he's going to pitch the way he pitches, and we just had to figure out a way to get on the fastball. And, he pitched good enough where his fastball is beating us a little bit, and then he has the nasty changeup that's, kind of stifled the league for the last few years. But a great pitcher, a good test for us on opening day, and he proved who he was, and we got snuck one in there at the end against him. We battled the entire time. Proud of our hitters, just didn't go our way today.
What did you see in Xander's at bats against Scubo in particular?
Yeah, very happy with how Xander looks right now. Carried on what he looked like at the end of spring training, hitting line drives everywhere. Very excited about where Xander Bogaerts is and what kind of season he's going to have this year.
Given that Nick had to miss a start in spring, what didn't get to fully build up, how close was that decision between him and Michael for today, going down to the final day of camp?
Yeah, it was definitely a close decision. I mean, they're both great pitchers, so either one of them could have pitched opening day. We chose Nick based on last year's merits.
As you probably heard, there are a lot of, outside questions about the rotation and what they're going to be able to do this season. I know you have guys who you're still waiting on, but that being said, how important is it for a guy like Nick, given those questions, to perform like you're kind of expecting him to throughout the season?
Yeah, baseball, you can't predict anything in baseball. All we can go off is what we've seen from him in the past and what he did specifically for us last year. And so he expects that, and we expect that, and, we'll find out how it goes at the end of the year.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen after his very first game as Padres manager. Sam Levitt back with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. So game one for Craig Stammen doesn't go the way that he or the Padres would have wanted. But again, the good news, you got a long way to go here in the 2026 season. Obviously, like we alluded to, not the best day for Nick Pavetta, who, did have an interesting spring. I don't know, and we'll hear from Nick after our next break. Look, I don't know if the pause that he had anything to do with him being rusty here on opening day, really having a performance that we just did not see during last season. I mean, Nick, and we talked about it pregame, and his start against the Tigers was a good example of it last year when he went 7 scoreless innings, gave up just 2 hits in Detroit. A lot of his outings were like that, start to finish, really, really dominant, really, really impressive. And we quite simply did not see him come out of the gate last year, really ever, and have the type of command issues that he had here today. So, is that, on a little bit of a different spring training? I'm not sure. It also could just be a guy not having his best stuff here on opening day, which would certainly be understandable. And again, like I said, with the Padres in general, with Craig Stammen, you got a long way to go here, and one start is certainly not going to define Nick Pavetta's season. Xander Bogaerts, like Craig alluded to, had a really good day. And I'll say this again. You certainly, as a silver lining from this ball game, can look at the what the bullpen did. And can you have it? I got somebody at the table here. You can leave it. Thank you. Sorry, everybody. Our adventures here at the loft are back. Had something on the table here, and had somebody pick it up and say, "Can I have this?" I said, "Well, no, it's mine." Anyway, all right, back to the bullpen. If you listen to the post game, we have some interactions here in the loft post game that could be funny. All right, back to the pitching. The good news today, again, silver lining. This is all silver linings today, but the fact that your bullpen did a nice job in a game that you once trailed 8-0 and ate up innings without having to use your high leverage guys. Look, That's kind of a big deal on a day like this. Juan Marinaccio giving you 2 innings, albeit giving up 2 runs. Bradley Rodriguez, as we said, really good today, 2 scoreless innings. David Morgan, a scoreless inning. Wandy Peralta, a scoreless inning. And what those guys did, it allowed you to not have to use a Mason Miller, not have to use Jeremiah Estrada, not have to use an Adrian Morejon. Quite frankly, the fact that they could avoid Kyle Hart today gives them another long man option throughout the rest of this series. So again, silver linings today on a day where you lose 8-2, but certainly seems like a pretty meaningful silver lining, because there is a version of this game, and again, I'm not excusing a loss, if you will, but there is a version of this game where it's tight and you got to use all your high leverage guys and you still lose the game here on opening day. So I suppose maybe a little bit of a good thing, at least, that you were able to get through this one without having to use your high leverage guys. And now those guys presumably would be available tomorrow and probably Saturday as well. When we come back, we'll hear from today's starting pitcher, Nick Pavetta. Your phone calls coming up a little bit later as well at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Phone number to dial. Again, the final score here today, Tigers 8 and the Padres 2. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues after this on the Padres Radio Network.
Spring is here, but is your AC ready? Comfort Bros Heating, Air, Plumbing, and Electrical has you covered. Get a 20...
Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park on this Thursday afternoon opening day as we take you up until 5 p.m. That's when we'll flip things over to today's edition of Gwynn and Chris. From my understanding, Chris Ello and Matt Scraby standing by, ready to go. So we will have the afternoon show for you coming up at 5 p.m. But until then, you've got me as we continue to wrap this one up. Tigers winning 8-2 on opening day. We'll hear from today's starting pitcher, Nick Pavetta, in just a moment. But first, let's tell you about today's Heart of the Order.
Let's take the pulse of the Padres and check in on the Heart of the Order, presented by Palomar Health, the official healthcare provider of 97.3 The Fan. Palomar Health, leading with heart for every patient. Palomar Health is reimagining healthcare.
Part of the order here today, we'll take a look at the 3, 4, 5 spots in the Padres order. Manny Machado did have a base hit, a single in the first inning. He went 1 for 3 with a walk. Jackson Merrill had a tough day, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts for Jackson, albeit he was facing a very tough lefty in Tarek Skubal on the mound for the Tigers. Miguel Andujar in his Padres debut, 0 for 3 today with a walk. So for the heart of the order, you look at the 3, 4, 5 spots. It was a combined 1 for 10 with a couple of walks. You did have Xander Bogaerts again have a very nice day, by far and away the best offensive day for the Padres. You could throw Ramon Laureano in there as well with the home run, but Xander did have 2 hits, including a double, an RBI in 4 at-bats, and in all those 4 at-bats, he hit the ball very hard. I said this a little bit earlier. The exit velos for Xander today, 104.5, 108, 102.3, and 101.7. So if that quality of contact is a sign of things to come for Xander Bogaerts, that would mean, I would imagine, some very, very good things for Xander this season. A big story today for the Padres, Nick Pavetta, tough outing for him. As we've said, 3 innings, 6 earned runs given up, 7 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. He did not have his command, especially in that first inning. He walked 3 out of the first 5 batters in the game. Bases loaded, 1 out for Spencer Torkelson in the first inning. At that point, there was no score. He walks Torkelson to bring in a run, then the 2 RBI double by McGonigal, and then Dingler RBI single. And in 7 batters today, the Padres trailed 4-0, 4 runs on 3 hits and 3 walks given up for Nick Pavetta in that first inning alone. And obviously just not the start Nick wanted today, I'm sure, and just not the kind of start we really saw all year from Pavetta, who was so good in 2025. But again, the good news for Nick is that he's got a long way to go here in 2026. But right now, let's go downstairs inside the Padres clubhouse and hear from today's starting pitcher, Nick Pavetta.
Nick, what happened today?
Disconnected, out of rhythm. Didn't make pitches when I needed to. Kind of let it snowball me. Just wasn't able to make the adjustment today.
Are you able to take a look at, like, it's opening day adrenaline and say, that won't be the case next time? I mean, do you attribute anything to that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the ideal world. Of course, I would love that game back, but that's not reality. That's not how the world works. Just look to capitalize on the couple days off that I have here, get a good bullpen session, get back to who I am.
You chalk that up to anything? Just the disconnection? Anything specific that you can?
It's kind of hard to explain in the moment. I think it's just kind of something that happens. I'm human. I have errors and I make mistakes, and sometimes I just don't make the right adjustments at the right moments.
Nick, the fastball and the curve, I mean, they're what get you through most when you don't have those, when you're not. What is that like out there on the mound? What are you trying to do there?
I mean, I think for me, I'm just trying to get into a better rhythm, trying to get ahead of hitters. I still have really good elite pitches. It's just, when nothing's in the zone and you're behind guys, it's very difficult in the big leagues.
I'm really happy with bouncing back in the second and just kind of giving yourself.
Sure, if you want to say that, but I didn't get the job done in the third. So, it's kind of one or the other wasn't there.
Did you have a good bullpen before the game? How'd that feel?
Felt good. Usual part of my routine is to get off the mound and throw a couple of pitches, so normal.
That was today's starting pitcher, Nick Pavetta, post-game reaction from inside the Padres clubhouse. Sam Levitt back with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. It is interesting to think about, look at. Obviously, a tough first inning for Pavetta. Gave up a 2-out single in the second. That was it. Then gives up the 2 hits to begin the third, single to Torkelson, double to McGonigal. And then a couple batters later, 2 RBI single to Parker Meadows, a bloop single, not hard contact, but the 2 hits to open up the inning set up that scenario for Meadows. And just like that, the game started to get away from the Padres, went from 4-0 to 6-0. Look, even against a guy like a Tarek Skubal, if you're Nick Pavetta, give up 4 runs early in the first inning, but then settle in and say go 4 or 5 with just those 4 runs given up, you very much keep the Padres in the game. But the Tigers get 2 in the third, 2 in the 5th inning to make it 8-0. And again, against a guy like Tarek Skubal and a good Tigers team, it's going to be a tall mountain to climb, and the Padres could not climb up it today. We'll hear from Jay Cronenworth in just a moment. First, let's tell you about today's relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, brought to you by San Diego criminal defense attorney David P. Shapiro. We help good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. Learn more at davidpshapirolaw.com.
Relief pitcher of the game today, we'll give it to the young Bradley Rodriguez, who was very, very good today. 2 scoreless innings out of the pen, struck out 3, did not allow a hit, and really picked up right where he left off in 2025 when he posted a 1.170 ERA in 7 appearances, 7 2/3 innings, struck out 9 last season in that limited action. We know Bradley is extremely talented. The stuff is off the charts, and there's a real belief, and we heard this throughout spring training, that Bradley, by the time it's all said and done this season, could be a real high leverage guy in the Padres bullpen. He's not going to start that way this season, but I'll tell you what, he has more outings like he had today, 2 scoreless innings. He will quickly get bigger opportunities. He was very, very good today, gave the Padres some length out of their pen. There was questions during spring training. You started to look at the roster crunch and the spots available. You started to wonder, okay, can Bradley make this team, even if he deserves to make the team? You know, will it be a scenario where he does have options? You start him in the minor leagues, but when Yuki Matsui went on the IL to start the year, Jason Adam went on the IL to start the year, really did open the door for Bradley Rodriguez to start the year on the Padres roster. And to this point, 1 outing in, certainly has taken advantage. 2 scoreless innings today for Bradley Rodriguez. Well, Jake Cronenworth today batted 9th, which was interesting, and we heard from Craig Stammen before the game about the lineup. It was a fascinating lineup today. We haven't talked about it post-game, but we talked plenty about it pre-game. A fascinating lineup for a few different reasons, and the first reason being Fernando Tatis Jr., who, aside from 1 game, had not hit leadoff all spring long. Well, he was in the leadoff spot today against the left-hander Tarek Skubal. So we sort of assumed, I think a lot of us, that he wouldn't lead off based on the lineups in spring. But, Craig Stammen, to his credit, always said it was going to be a possibility that he would lead off. Maybe not every day, but at least some days. And Fernando Tatis Jr. did lead off today. Then you had, against the lefty, Gavin Sheets getting the start at first base over Nick Castellanos. And I actually really liked the reasoning from Craig Stammen before the game. And Craig essentially said, look, it was a nod to Gavin Sheets, what he was for this team last year. Allow him to get an opening day start, even against the tough left-hander and Tarek Skubal. And quite frankly, I think that kind of reasoning, that kind of attitude, I think it's part of what will make Craig a really good manager. And that is kind of understanding a situation for a player beyond the baseball matchup reasons. And yes, you could argue today that Gavin Sheets deserved to start an opening day. Now, Sheets went 0 for 3. Castellanos pinch hit late, flew out with the bases loaded. Okay, as far as the box score, didn't quite work out, but I understood it and the reasoning from Craig Stammen. So that was an interesting part of today's lineup. And then Jake Cronenworth batting 9th. He went 0 for 4 today, but kind of viewing him there as a secondary leadoff man in the 9 spot. So we'll see. It sounds like Craig Stammen is going to be very, very malleable with this lineup. I'm fascinated to see what it's like tomorrow and the next day against a right-hander, but I do get the sense that you could see some different variations of this lineup day to day, especially early on as the Padres try to figure out what works. Quiet day at the plate for Jake Cronenworth. He was 0 for 4, but let's go downstairs back inside the Padres clubhouse and hear from Jake.
It's a challenge. Thought we had a good plan going in. Just spot on.
No break tomorrow either, right?
There's no breaks in the big leagues.
Thoughts on opening day? I know the result wasn't what you wanted, but emotionally, do you still get fired up for the pomp and the circumstance and the pageantry, or are you over that now?
No, it's always exciting when you see the fans come out and support us. And it's like that every home game we play here, which is the best part about playing here.
You heard Jake there, and that was Jake Cronenworth inside the Padres clubhouse after today's 8-2 loss to the Tigers. You heard Jake say, hey, there are no breaks in the big leagues. Now, that's especially true tomorrow. The Padres will face left-hander Framber Valdez, who's been one of the better lefties in the game the last handful of years. He'll make his Tigers debut after signing a big contract with Detroit here at Petco Park tomorrow. So task does not get any easier for the Padres tomorrow. Framber Valdez will be a tough customer, and Padres will send right-hander Michael King to the mound. When we come back, speaking of Michael King, we'll hear from Michael King in advance of his start tomorrow. We'll also take your phone calls when we come back, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, the phone number to call. We'll take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and we'll also have today's play of the game. As we take you up until about 5 p.m., our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. Again, the final score here today, Tigers 8 and the Padres 2 on opening day at Petco Park. Our post-game coverage continues after this.
Stay tuned to the home.
Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park. Final score today, Tigers 8 and the Padres 2. Petco Park has been emptied out and now getting things ready for Game 2 of 2026 tomorrow. Padres continuing this homestand tomorrow and Saturday against the Tigers. A kind of rare and kind of weird off day on Sunday. When's the last time we've had a Sunday off? And then back to action against the Giants Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That'll wrap up the season opening 6-game homestand. Padres will be off next Thursday and then begin a road trip with a game in the series opener against the Red Sox at Fenway Park a week from tomorrow. So that's a look at the next week or so for the Padres. And again, pitching matchup tomorrow, Framber Valdez against Michael King. And we'll have more on that pitching matchup coming up in just a little bit. And we'll also hear from Michael King from inside the Padres clubhouse in just a little bit as well. But as always on our post-game coverage, I do want to get you involved. And if you're tuning in for the first time ever, or the first time this season, first opportunity you would have this season, you may know we do take your phone calls on the post-game coverage. The phone number to dial, as always, 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973 is your two-way Padres baseball talk line, back and forth. Me and you and I. If you want to find me on social media, if you want to chime in that way throughout the season, you can do that. Find me on Twitter, or X as they call it these days, Sammy Lev, SAMMYLEV. Instagram DMs are open. Sammy Lev there as well, SAMMYLEV. Or for the YouTube audience, we do stream on YouTube pre and post game every day. You can also chime in the chat on YouTube. And if you have something worthwhile that I see, I will read it on the air and respond to it. But let's go to the phones again at 833-288-0973. Our first post-game phone call of 2026, Dylan in Carlsbad. You have the honors. Dylan, welcome in. How are you?
I'm actually honest. Wait, hello.
Yes, you're on the radio, Dylan.
Hi, I'd like to talk about why the Padres need to sign Trevor Bauer.
Okay. Dylan, thank you. Every year we get these calls. Dylan, I don't think anybody's signing Trevor Bauer, and I don't think the Padres are either. All right, we continue on. Heck of a way to start here. Let's go to Johnny in Alpine. Johnny, you're on the air. Let's see what we can do. Try number 2. Go ahead.
All right, you should have tried me first. I should have batted lead off.
Johnny,
Anyway,
I know. Just a rookie mistake on my part, apparently.
No, you're not a rookie at all, Jesse. But good to be back for a good season. Well, hopefully a good season. Obviously, it's a long season. We got 161 games left. Not a lot of silver linings in this first game. So we won't point to those. I know you've been pointing to those some already. But one thing we do got to address, those is runners in scoring position. I feel like I'm having post-traumatic stress disorder. 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. I think 7 left on base. We got to figure out how to get runners over. I don't know. We can't have, 1 out and Jackson Merrill come up 2-1 and him just strike out and then a ground out or whatever it was. So hopefully we'll see that change and see a different approach here. But looking forward to a good season and good to hear you back on the radio, Jesse.
Well, Johnny, I appreciate it. And I think 2 things can be true at once. It was not a great day for the Padres with runners in scoring position. It was also opening day. Yes, there have been times over the last few years that runners in scoring position has been a major issue for this ball club. Now, today they were 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. They left 7 on base. There were a couple of issue points. Again, today is a tough game to judge when you're down 4-0 against Tarik Skubal before you even taken at bat. And that was the situation today. However, I'll give you a couple of spots where, yes, a hit with runners in scoring position could have gone a long way. First inning, Padres down 4-0. You get the Bogart single with 1 out. You get the Machado single with 1 out. Runners on first and third with 1 out for Jackson Merrill. He strikes out. Miguel Andujar grounds out, and the inning is over. And yes, you get a run or 2 there. Not only do you chip away at the 4-run deficit, but you also get to Tarik Skubal a little bit. When you're facing a guy the likes of Tarik Skubal that is that good and that dominant, and he is arguably the best pitcher in the game right now, you have a chance at him early. You got to take advantage, and the Padres didn't do that today. And then very predictably, we see this all the time, Skubal got into a rhythm. You want to take a look at a couple of other points. Again, at this point, the Padres are down 8-1 in this game. They had a runner on second with 1 out in the 6th inning after the Bogarts RBI double. Couldn't get Bogarts in. They did have the bases loaded in the 8th inning for Castellanos, the pinch hitter. He flies out. So, look, there were some points in this game, yes, where hitting with runners in scoring position was an issue. However, again, you're down 4-0 after 1. You're down 6-0 after 3. You're down 8-0 after 5 innings. It's just going to be a tough day at the office for your offense to come back against that. But yes, a little bit of an issue today, but I think one game, I am not hitting the panic button on the RISP just yet. All right, let's get some more phone calls here. Let's go to Rod in San Diego. Hi, Rod. You're on the Padres Radio Network. Welcome in.
Yo. Hey, Sammy, how are you? Shout out to the Levitators and the chat fam and the YouTube. And just want to say happy opening day, Sammy. Great to see you today in the loft briefly. And overall, man, I got to take the positivities out. Bradley Rodriguez looked really great on the mound today, and tomorrow we have Tony Gwynn opening day to look forward to, and that's the one that really counts to me, and I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully again I get to see you real quick again tomorrow, man, and shout out to you, and thanks for all the great content, Sammy. Great to see you.
All right, Rod, appreciate the phone call. Come say hi anytime, and yes, for anybody out there, you're at the ballpark, you can always say hi to me inside the loft here at the Western Middle Building at Petco Park. I'm here pregame every game, postgame every game. So feel free to come say hello. And yes, it is Tony Gwynn opening day tomorrow. And I'll tell you what, it always feels like the real season gets started tomorrow. That's not the takeaway, anything from opening day. But opening day is a lot of pageantry, which is awesome. I love it. Any baseball fan loves it. It's what it's all about. But yes, you kind of settle in a little bit starting tomorrow. I'll give you my perspective, just from the broadcast perspective. Like, I'll be honest with you, opening day, coming off spring training, you've got a couple of days here to get things ready and make sure everything's working. It's a race to just get through opening day and make sure that we get on the air and that everything goes relatively smoothly, and then you kind of start settling in starting tomorrow. So I think a lot of us would share in that sentiment, and yes, should be a very fun game 2 on a Friday night here at Petco Park tomorrow. All right, let's get to another phone call here. Let's go to Point Loma. It's Vince calling in. Vince, you're on the Padres Radio Network. Welcome in.
Yeah, hi. I think one of the reasons they had problems was this is probably one of the first times I can remember them facing an American League team, let alone from the Central Division on for opening day. And usually, I believe it's usually been like either NL West Coast or sometimes NL Central. But I think it's just how the new schedule is working. We're playing teams from other divisions during the opening week, and it used to be that you would play your division, you would play, either National League, would play National League, and American League would play American League, and usually it would be from your division, usually the opening week. I think it's just a new schedule.
Yeah, you know what, Vince, and appreciate the phone call. Vince, I don't know how much that's why they lost the game today. I will say a couple of things on it. Number one, it's always going to be odd to me when you have interleague play on opening day. I'm never going to get used to it. Some of these opening day matchups that we see across the league, I'll give you 2 right off the bat. Yesterday, Yankees and Giants in San Francisco. And even this one, Tigers and Padres in San Diego. It's always going to feel a little odd to me for a National League team to be opening up like against an American League team. Like, you just look at it, it's like opening day against the Tigers just doesn't feel like it used to, but that's the way it is these days because you have everybody playing everybody, and we just, we have a very different schedule than we once did. Beyond that, from the baseball standpoint, I don't know how much that had to do with today. I will say this, though. When you're facing a guy like Tarek Skubal, it probably doesn't help that you've got guys that haven't seen him. Like Manny made the point earlier today. Manny's never had a regular season at bat against him, faced him in the All-Star game, but that's not the same thing. I mean, most of the guys in the Padres lineup haven't seen Skubal, at least in this setting. So, yeah, I can't imagine it makes it any easier if you have no experience against a guy like this. So, yeah, Vince, a little bit of that. Could be a little bit of that, but, I think when you face Skubal and you have the kind of rough start that Pavetta did today, I think that's going to be a hard game to win. American League, National League, no matter who you're facing. All right, let's squeeze in one more phone call here. Let's go to Jimmy in San Diego. Jimmy, you're on the Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. My question is, will Manny and Tatis hit like they did in the World Baseball Classic?
Well, and Jimmy, appreciate the phone call. Manny had some good moments in the Classic. Fernando had a wonderful Classic. You hope so. It's one game, so I think it's hard to say right now. You hope so, that they have moments like they did in the World Baseball Classic. I think Fernando in particular was so electric, so good in the WBC. But after one game, I don't think we know much of anything right now about the 2026 San Diego Padres. But no doubt about it, Jimmy, that those two guys performing to their highest capabilities and performing at the peak of their powers, that would mean very good things for the Padres. And quite frankly, the success of those two guys is very much directly correlated to probably how the Padres are going to do in 2026. So I think it's a little bit early for any predictions, any assessments after game one. But yes, Manny and Fernando, I think Fernando in particular, what he did in the WBC, if he's going to be that guy, then that's an MVP caliber player. Let's quickly hear from Michael King. He'll make the start tomorrow in game 2 of the season. Let's go back downstairs and hear from Michael.
Petco is a special place, and it's very fun to pitch in front of these guys. So definitely very excited.
Considering the potency of this lineup, like we saw today, how do you feel going into tomorrow?
Great. I got a game plan, and I execute to the best of my ability.
Considering what you went through a season ago, battling all that injury, what do you think tomorrow will mean to you?
I was able to get back at the end of the year, so it's just like another start to the season. Gonna approach it every start, one start at a time, and hope to string together 32 really good ones.
That was tomorrow's starting pitcher, Michael King. Some quick comments from after today's game from Michael. And for Michael King, it will be not just tomorrow's start, but it is an interesting season for Michael in this sense. When Michael is healthy and on his game, I'm very confident in saying that Michael King is one of the best pitchers in the game. Now, last season dealt with a lot of injury stuff, whether it be the nerve issue that kept him out for a long time, whether it be the knee issue that came from overcompensating when he got back. He only threw 73 plus innings last season. But to me, the innings number for Michael, that's all going to be secondary and stuff we worry about later in the year. What I'd be focused on tomorrow with Michael King in the early part of the season is just the idea that he's healthy and he's looking like Michael King, and the guy that was sensational in 2024 with a 2.95 ERA and 173 plus innings. So that's what I'll be focused on tomorrow. And if Michael King pitches, much like I said about Manny and Fernando, to his highest capabilities tomorrow and the next start, that's going to be a very good thing for the Padres. So we'll get our first look at Michael King here in 2026 tomorrow. Talk a little bit more about tomorrow's middle game of this series coming up in just a couple of minutes. First, let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
Most of the games here on this opening day Thursday have gone final. Other finals from around the sport. Cardinals beat the Rays 9-7 in St. Louis. J.J. Weatherholt, in his major league debut, hit a home run. So quite a debut for a couple of prospects in Weatherholt and Kevin McGonigal, who had 4 hits here today for the Tigers. Other finals, Angels beat the Astros 3-0 in Houston. Mike Trout, a home run in that game as the Angels blanked the Astros. The Red Sox blanked the Reds 3-0 in Cincinnati. Garrett Crochet, very good start on opening day. 6 shutout innings today for Crochet. Orioles beat the Twins 2-1 in Baltimore. Trevor Rogers throwing 7 scoreless innings to help the Orioles past Minnesota. Nationals beat the Cubs 10-4 in Chicago. 11 hits in that game for the Nationals, including home runs for Brady House, Joey Weimer, and Jacob Young. Brewers beat up on the White Sox 14-2 in Milwaukee. Jacob Mizorowski struck out 11 while giving up 1 run in 5 innings in that game, and obviously Brewers had a big day at the plate as well. Mets beat up on Paul Skeens and the Pirates 11-7. Mets knocking out Skeens in the first inning in that game in New York. Skeens got only 2 outs in the first inning through 37 pitches, gave up 5 earned runs on 4 hits. Now, if you dig a little bit deeper, there were a couple of misplays by O'Neal Cruz in center field that totally, really buried Skeens in that first inning. However, the Mets scored 5 runs in the bottom of the first inning, and they went on to win the game by a final of 11-7. We have 2 games yet to begin coming up at 7:10 tonight. Guardians and the Mariners in Seattle. Tanner Bybee on the mound for Cleveland. Logan Gilbert on the mound for Seattle. And at 5:30, Diamondbacks and the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium in L.A. Zach Gallen on the mound for Arizona. Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound for the Dodgers. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Thursday. Kind of interesting yesterday with the Yankees and the Giants in San Francisco. Yankees won that opener 7-0. There were actually a few teams today that did not have their first game of the year that are actually opening tomorrow. The A's and the Blue Jays tomorrow in Toronto. We have the Rockies and the Marlins in Miami, the Royals and the Braves in Atlanta. So kind of weird this year where we had really 3 separate opening days in a row for different teams. So a little weird this year, but some teams opening up tomorrow as well, just so you know. Before we have our play of the game and wrap things up, get you ready for tomorrow. Okay, we won't take a legal ID break. Apparently, our great Nick Danucci, Matt Scraby, they've got it covered back in the studio. So now let's hear today's play of the game.
One bounce, one hit, one pitch can be the difference between victory and defeat. What was the most important play in today's game? This is today's play of the game. Presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Restoration and Flood. We know how.
2-2, Dingler swings, hits it in the air to deep left field. Laureano's back. He will watch this one. Gonna go. First home run of the season here at Petco Park. A 2-run shot for Dylan Dingler, and it is 8-0 Detroit here in the top of the 5th.
Well, unfortunately, that was our play of the game today. Trust me, it gives me no pleasure for that to be our play of the game on opening day, but it was the Dylan Dingler 2-run home run in the 5th inning. Kind of felt like that was the moment where this game got put away. Kind of went from, well, maybe you can mount a little rally here. You've got time to, you're down 8-0 in the 5th inning, and felt like it got a little out of reach at that point. Dingler hitting the 2-run home run of Ron Marinaccio in his 2nd inning of work, and that was today's play of the game. Unfortunately, there are going to be some days we try to keep those post-game awards kind of Padres-centric, but as you know, if you've listened to me for a few years now, that there are days where it's just a little hard to do that. You got to go the other way with the competition, and it went that way today, unfortunately, here on opening day. As always, our post-game coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey, player, the rooftop pool is open. Day passes are available, and the spa is calling your name. Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. Taking a look ahead to tomorrow, Game 2 of 162 here in 2026. First pitch tomorrow, our first night game of the season at 6:40 p.m. Our pregame coverage from inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building will begin at 5:40. Pitching matchup tomorrow on the mound for the Tigers, left-hander Framber Valdez making his Tigers debut, and for the Padres, right-hander Michael King. Taking a look at the final totals here today for the Tigers. 8 runs, 12 hits, 1 error. They left on 8. For the Padres, 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors. They left on 7. Winning pitcher today on opening day, Tarek Skubal, who improves to 1-0. Losing pitcher was Nick Pavetta, who drops to 0-1. Time of game, 2 hours and 38 minutes. And the crowd here at Petco Park today, the largest opening day crowd in the history of the stadium. So a shout out to Padres fans. If there was one thing you could guarantee today, it was that this ballpark would be full, that this ballpark would be loud, and it was both those things. And I'm sure the crowds are going to be terrific all season long once again. Padres fans, you showed up today. You did your part. The crowd here today, again, the first sellout of the year, largest crowd in opening day history at Petco Park, 45,673. Once again, first pitch tomorrow night at 6:40. Pregame coverage begins at 5:40. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Nick Danucci, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long from Petco Park. And the final score here on opening day, the Detroit Tigers 8 and the San Diego Padres 2. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network. Chris Ello, Matt Scraby, today's edition of Gwynn and Chris coming up next.
Thanks for joining us for the Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame.